1,500 troops along the U.S.-Mexico border in Texas.
There are some very simple reasons why we're having to do this. The primary reason is because Joe Biden is not doing his job.
National Guard members are from Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, and Oklahoma.
Half of the United States of America are banding together to step up and secure a border.
Their governors come to Texas to see firsthand the mission that Governor Abbott reached out and asked for help on. I'm Jamie Virgen with Sinclair Broadcasting in Texas. Thank you for joining us again for another edition of Immigration Crisis, the fight for the southern border. It was a hot trip for four Republican governors who came to Texas to visit their members of their National Guard troops, and also some of them having DPS troopers down here in Texas helping out Governor Greg Abbott with Operation Lone Star. The governors that came down were from Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, and Oklahoma. What you're about to hear now is an interview with Kim Reynolds, the Republican governor of Iowa, and also with Kevin Stitt, the governor of Oklahoma.
Kim Reynolds, I'm the governor of the great state of Iowa.
What did you tell your troops that are here right now? What was your message to them?
Well, I'm going to go speak to them. I got to speak to a couple over there, and then we're going to meet with them and actually walk through what they've been doing, what they've seen, how they're helping. But honestly, what I said as I was shaking hands down the line there, thank you for serving, thank you for stepping up and stepping in. I've talked to the Adjutant General from Texas, just the infusion of strength that it's provided for the troops, the soldiers that are on the ground. They've really increased the turnaways by a significant percentage, so the number of troops is making a difference. The 16 Republican governors have committed to about 16,000 National Guard soldiers, and they're tired. They have been at this for 2 years. This has been ground zero for just what we're seeing at the southern border, and it's unconscionable, and they need some help, they need some relief, they need some rest. And I want to tell you, we could have doubled the numbers. For the most part, they volunteered, they wanted to be down here, they want to help. They know that this administration is not doing the right thing. They want to protect this country. They signed up to serve, to protect this country and the freedoms that we get to enjoy every single day.
Let me ask you, flying over in the helicopter, your impression, especially where the buoys are at?
Well, to get a better visualization of that, the water is not very deep. I also appreciated the opportunity. I know the media had the chance to do that too, to go over and actually take a look at them, to dispel some of the inaccurate information that's being given out about the buoys. It is a deterrent. They are effective. They're mobile. They can move them if they see a hot spot. So, of course, it's being challenged by the Biden administration. Again, I don't understand, where they're coming from. I think they're hell-bent on destroying this country, but they'll go through the legal process, and they believe they're confident that they'll rule in their favor. And then once that's done, then they will extend the buoys. It was also interesting to see the sea wire and how that's doubled up. So you've got that in the middle, and then you've got the sea wire, and then you can see you've got the containers here that are part of the wall. But I think it was Governor Stitt who said, really the mission is to prevent them from stepping on our soil, because once they do, then they are processed and released into the country. And my number one, objective as governor is to protect the health and safety of my citizens. And we don't know when they're coming. We don't, the human trafficking. I gave some statistics about the increase that we've seen in fentanyl seizures and meth seizures. We increased in drug-related deaths, a 35% increase. The heart-wrenching stories that I hear from parents like Kathy and Derek Kidd, whose high school son, Sebastian, took a half of Percocet, and we hear this over and over, unaware that it had been laced with a lethal dose of fentanyl, and he found him dead the next morning. This was a good kid. Kids are kids. These drugs are killing our young people. It's the number one cause of death for 18 to 45-year-olds. Come on, do you care about the kids and the people in this country step up and just follow the law. We just need them to follow the law. I don't think we need new laws. Maybe put back in some of the common sense policies that we had prior to the Biden administration.
And let me ask you this, because it's going to get hot real quick.
Yeah.
The sun's coming back. Overall, I mean, the complaint is not so much that we need new laws.
No.
The system is so backed up. I have people up in Minnesota, in Wisconsin, Detroit area saying we need workers. Can we not figure out a way to do this?
An open border is not the answer, because we're getting all kinds of criminals and illegal, people that we don't want. Human traffickers, the drug cartel are infiltrating. They're setting up in rural Iowa. I'm 1,000 miles away from where we stand right now, and you heard the statistics. Every single state is a border state. So let's take a look at the legal process. We are the most generous country in the world when it comes to legal migration into our country. So Congress needs to sit down, they need to figure out the system, or else give a waiver to the states and allow us to figure out how to work with some of the visas to address the workforce shortages that we see in our states and across this country. But an open border is not the answer, because the consequences that we're going to see from an open border is we're just scratching the surface of what we are going to see if we continue. And that's 2 years. Look at the numbers that we see. I think they just gave me a statistic this morning that they've seized more fentanyl in fiscal year 23 in the first 9 months than they did the entire fiscal year of 2022. Now think about that. That's not good.
Your thoughts after riding the helicopter? Is this your first time coming out to the border and riding above?
It definitely was my first time from the air. I came down probably about a year ago, and we took a tour on the river itself. But it was second time down here just to kind of tour what was happening. The amazing thing to me, and we were even on the ground, and I was in El Paso earlier today and visited our troops, is like I said in the press conference, you've got the wall here, and we're not allowed to defend this. We have to go into the river, and that's just a federal policy that's just weird. It's super weird how we have to go build another wall, retaining wall, inside there. Otherwise, Texas and Oklahoma, we're just trying to enforce the law to keep people from entering illegally. There's 29 points of entry along this coast, along the border of Texas, and it's illegal to enter anywhere besides those.
So let me ask you, for the people that will say, and we have one case here with a farm, they're big Republicans, but part of their land was taken away, and they are angry. What would you say to the people back in Oklahoma? You have a lot of...
Give me 1 second. Make sure it's not on or anything like that.
You're getting interference?
Yeah, so.
Off?
There we go, should be better now.
So the people in Oklahoma that are seeing this, they probably have seen the stories because they've been all over national news. And they're ranchers. These people are ranchers. Is this President Biden's fault that we're having to take these measures that we're taking out here right now?
Well, I think so, because really it's just the Remain in Mexico policy. When you cancel that and you allow anybody that gets here to be released into the United States, that's a problem. That's creating a mass migration. So yes, it is a policy change that needs to take place. That's really creating, from Central America and the flood of folks coming up, just trying to get up here, and that policy change needs to change from the federal level.
Okay, and because of the interference, again, your first thoughts seeing the border from above and the buoys especially, which we're having to move back a little bit because we were into Mexican waterways.
Well, it's not, listen, the fact, I've heard some people say there's chainsaws on the buoys. I've seen the buoys. There's actually a plastic piece around the metal kind of section in between. So again, they're just simply there. If you're going to try to climb and illegally and you stub your toe or whatever, I mean, that's just absolute nonsense. That's the left trying to spin this in a circle. All we're trying to do is enforce the law. There's 29 points of entry. There needs to be a proper immigration, but we have to have a secure border. That's what I keep saying. This is not an immigration issue. This is a national security issue in our country. The amount of people that have been captured or been retained on the terrorist watch list should frighten people as well.
Anything else that I didn't ask you that you would want people in Oklahoma to know? They see their governor out here.
Yeah, well, I would just say, I met with all of our National Guard troops. They're doing an amazing job. They're contributing to the safety of Oklahoma. I asked them all, and they've said, yes, we want to come back and do it again if I would extend the mission. And so they're all having a good time. They're all the young people just out here serving their state and their country, and just so proud of them.
Okay, really the last question. How are you being affected? Talk to me specifically. Is it the drugs? Is it the migrants? Is it the coyotes?
Yeah, I would say it's the drugs, the fentanyl that's coming through that my Bureau of Narcotics is capturing. It's all coming from the southern border.
And also this week in court, Governor Abbott being sued. An injunction was filed against him and the state of Texas by the Department of Justice over the buoys that are in the water right now in the Rio Grande, in the town of Eagle Pass, and the sister city right across Piedras Negras. That hearing was taking place in Austin. A lot of witnesses were being brought forth. Because it is federal court, we were not able to record it, but we're going to have a lot more on the judge's decision once it is made right here on another segment of Immigration Crisis, the fight for the southern border. I'm Jami Virgen in Texas. Thank you for joining us.